Welcome to webbikeworld.com. This video has some on-road samples from the new BlackVue Sport SC500 video camera. For the full review, more photos, and all the details, please visit webbikeworld.com. Here we are on our standard motorcycle video camera road run with the BlackVue Sport SC500. This camera is made by Pitasoft, a Korean electronics manufacturer who is a leader in dashboard cams and other types of video cameras. The SC500 is just being introduced worldwide, and it's a pretty interesting camera because it features a Sony Exmor 12 megapixel CMOS sensor similar to the type used in DSLRs like the Nikon D300. This is a prototype near production version of the SC500, and overall we can say that the video is very smooth and the range of exposure is much better than most motorcycle video cameras. There's a bit of a white balance issue under some lighting conditions with this camera, and hopefully that will be fixed in a firmware update. For some reason, certain lighting conditions give a greenish cast to the video, and the colors are probably oversaturated just a touch. But under other conditions where you think the camera might have problems, the colors are very accurate. The video also seems to be very stable, as though the camera had some type of image stabilization. We noticed even on very bumpy roads that the video appears very smooth and stable. For example, this is in the evening as the sun is setting, but the exposure and colors are very accurate, at least on the raw video right out of the camera. This dirt road is very rough and bumpy, but the video appears very smooth compared to other motorcycle video cameras we've reviewed. The SC500 has a wider exposure range than almost all of the other cameras we've reviewed, and we added these videos in deep shadows at sunset to illustrate that you still get a lot of detail in both the shadows and highlights. For example, this video is in very deep shadows at twilight, yet the exposure range is very good, and there are details in both the shadows and in the bright sky, with only a bit of the brightest portion of the sky and the white clouds losing detail. Here's a nice handheld sunset shot, and there's almost no light at ground level after the sun passed the horizon, but there's some nice detail and colors in the sky. A little later, the sun is now completely behind the horizon, but the camera still has good exposure range, and you can see a lot of detail in these buildings. Low light performance is one of the weaknesses of these types of action cameras, but the SC500 performs very well. Here's another one of the back roads we use for motorcycle video camera evaluations, and on this one you can see some of the green cast that appears sometimes with the SC500. We can't quite figure out the exact lighting conditions when this happens. The camera also takes slow motion video at 60 and 120 frames per second at 720p and 240 frames per second at 480p. Here's the 120 frames per second going about 45 miles per hour. You can see a bit of the green color cast here, and I stopped it to edit out some of the green saturation in Adobe Premiere Elements, and you can now see that the road turns back to gray. Now watch and you'll see the color cast come back after my edits. Here's a quick look at the 240 frames per second video capability of the SC500. This is traveling about 50 miles per hour, but time seems slowed way down. So that's a quick look at the on-road samples from the BlackVue Sport SC500. We have another video that describes the features of this camera and its Wi-Fi capability. Also, be sure to check out the full review with all the details and many photos and all the information and specifications on webbikeworld.com. Thanks for watching.